Hola, hola amigos, ¿cómo están todos? This is La Super Comadre Claudia of RadioCrystalUSA.com, and I'm super excited to be out and about because I am in a location that is near and dear to me, and it's part of who my guest is today. But before we jump into who my guest is and who we're going to be talking about and talking with, I want to just share a little bit about what's up with La Super Comadre. So, there's a book that came into my life when I attended the University of Houston and graduated from there many years ago. And this book has come into my life again and again and again at different points in my life. And this book, I have it right here, and it's actually right behind me, and it's The House on Mango Street. And it's super special because of a number of things, but I'll just talk about three. The first one is when I learned about this book, I was at the University of Houston. It was required reading. And what got to me was I never really knew of women that were Latinas that had Spanish surnames like mine that were writers. That blew me away. The second thing that touched me about this book is that I don't really pick a book because I wanted to read it. I usually had to book because it was required reading, and of course it was required. But still, I typically now as an adult open a book on a random page and I just start reading to see if it's something I like. Back then, I kind of was doing the same thing, even though I had to read it. And I opened it up, and it took me to Chanclas. It was page 46 in The House on Mango Street, and that really captured me because here I am seeing a word that I only heard in my household, in my culture, in my familia, in my cultura, in a book, printed, published by a woman, a Latina, Sandra Cisneros. And the third thing was this, that I walked around the University of Houston my first couple of semesters, wondering if I was going to make it, doubting myself, scared that I was going to fail a class. I passed my classes a panzazo, okay? I was a top-notch kid. I had great grades. I was in honors classes, college bound. When I got to college, I was really lost. I was confused. I was scared. But this book, reading this book in my Mexican American Studies program, it really helped me get through that. It really made me appreciate my cultura, the words like chancla. They're in a book, that there's a woman who looks and sounds like me writing a book, and that it just really helped me get through those 5 years, because it took me 5 years to graduate and to see that there are women, that they're Latinos or Latinx, Hispanas, Chicanas, whatever you want to use. I'm okay with all of them. That they're out there, that they were out there writing books. And here I am reading a book, required reading. And here I am now as an educator, 20 plus years later. You do the math. I started teaching in 97. Now the Alley Theater, under the advice and or direction and guidance of El Zócalo Advisory Board, we are bringing this book, The House on Mango Street, with the help of the National Endowment for the Arts, spreading the good news of this book. And my guest for today has a connection to this as well as a location where we're at. So I'm super excited to have a new super comadre by the name of Blanca Garza, who is on the Zócalo Advisory Board for the Alley Theater, who is connected to making sure this book is in the hands of new generations, of future people that look like me, like her, and also crossing cultures and making sure that this book is in the hands of all students, of all kids, of all cultures and heritage, because we have a lot more in common than we sometimes know, or maybe others around us don't want us to know. So, super comadre Liliana, ¿cómo estás tú? Where are you?
Hey, pues yo por aquí, por aquí, aquí.
¿Cómo estás?
Me voy a salir de aquí porque no puedo, comadre. No, no
Not
hagas
yet.
eso, comadre. Se suponía que todavía no, comadre.
Oops. Well, here I am. Well, you know what? Sometimes things go like this and we got to keep going. So, how are you and how's it going with life?
Muy bien, muy bien. Aquí
Pues
estamos
mira, este libro.
tratando de esconder a la invitada que sea sorpresa.
Nobody saw her. I made her disappear. You didn't see anything. No one saw anything. Pues
Oye,
mira, comadre super Liliana, ¿cómo?
well, I'm excited
¿Qué pasó?
to meet your new guest, and I'm excited for having a lot of support from our sponsors. I'm so happy for having you on air for we're almost what 5 years and a half on air. Ya
Yes.
5 años y medio el aire.
Sí.
Y estoy muy contenta. Así me siento, muy contenta.
Súper contenta, súper
So
contenta. A ver, ¿quiénes son los sponsors porque tú sabes, por ellos estamos aquí?
yeah, so I'm going to show everyone a little tiny video thanking every sponsor that is
Woo!
supporting el show de la Super Comadre en RadioCrystalUSA.com. So here
Awesome.
they are. Thank you to all of them. Muchas gracias a todos ellos por participar como nuestros patrocinadores y bueno, invitando a toda la gente que quiera formar parte de este equipo. If you would like to sponsor la Super Comadre Claudia show, please call her directly or call me. It doesn't matter. You can call either one and be part of our sponsors team.
Yes. So, super comadre, estoy luciendo una flor nueva. ¿Cómo ves?
Es lo que vi. Esas flores me encantan. My
Sí.
grandma used to have lots of those in her garden.
Son gladiolas, ¿no?
Creo,
Gladiolas.
no me acuerdo cómo se llaman.
No me
I
acuerdo.
think
They're
son
so
gladiolas.
pretty. Yeah, they're
I love
beautiful.
it. I love it. I feel like I'm somewhere in Vamos a la playa. La, la, la,
Yeah.
la, la. That's why I like ever since I put this in my head, that's the song that's going through my head. Oh, vamos a Hawaii.
And today is the last day of summer.
And that's what I'm celebrating.
You're wrapping up.
I am wrapping up the summer.
With a beautiful flower on your head.
With the beautiful summer flower. Yeah, so I'm super excited to be here, Super Comadre Liliana. As you know, my platform is all about elevating stories, journeys, businesses, profits, nonprofits, just amazing people here in town. And sometimes we zoom them in if they're not in Houston, because they have something to share, something that could affect the community, support the community, help the community. Maybe there's a mom, a tia, a comadre, an abuelita that's listening, and they need that support, that recurso, because literally we're the ones that make all those decisions, right?
That's right.
We just
Yeah.
most of the times. I mean, there's research out there. There's a research out there that says that the women are the ones that make a lot of decisions with how money is used, what's going to be eaten at the house, how things are going to roll out. And that's what this is about. And I remember when you told me you're gonna on a Saturday, you said you're gonna come on Monday and record. I'm like, when am I gonna record? And you said
your own show.
And I'm like, what am I gonna talk about?
What am I gonna talk about in an hour?
And I said, for how long? You're right. I said, for how long? An hour. Oh my God, an hour? That's too long. What am I gonna say in an hour? And here we
time
are.
flies now. Time flies, and it's so much fun seeing you and your guests, introducing all your ideas and a lot of things to our world, and I
Yes,
love it.
yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
here
my
we
favorite.
are.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
It is flying by and we're having fun. And I love how so many sponsors have jumped on. And I'm super excited for those that are going to join us, because this is what keeps it going, keeping the message going, keeping our mission going, and just elevating. And that's what this is about. So I have a new super comadre.
Okay, tell us about it.
All right. So this amazing woman came into my life not too long ago, and I'm going to turn the camera so you can see my new super comadre, Blanca Garza. ¡Woo! So, ¿cómo estás hoy?
Bien, muy bien, muy bien. Aquí estamos con un tecito, relajándonos, ya que va a venir el frito.
Estamos ya
So we're
listas
here.
con el té
Right,
calientito.
right. Mhm.
Y hablando de The House on Mango Street, habla un poquito del té, porque
Wow.
el té va con el libro.
Sí, Mango Tea, Mango Street.
So we are in a new location. We are now venturing out. Now that yo soy vacunada, and we are in a restaurant, a cafe, and I wanted to elevate, my new super comadre Blanca and her location, her story, and just some of the works that she's doing, for the city, for comunidad. And we just had an amazing event here. And so I just want to first start with thank you so much for taking the time to share your story, to elevate yourself, because a lot of times in la cultura, it's not something that we practice.
Right.
To talk about yourself, to promote yourself, porque dicen, ay, ¿qué se cree? ¿Qué se cree?
Mhm.
And now we have to kind of break that apart and show what we do. And when we do that, we show the younger generations that it's okay to put your work out there, to put your mission, to put what you want in life out there, and to show the work that you've been doing. So, talk about.
No, la verdad que sí.
Yeah.
No, sí, tienes toda la razón. You're absolutely right. We do that because that's kind of how we were brought up, to be meek, to maybe not stand out, to not be seen, or for many, many reasons. Pero no, sí, es muy importante porque la verdad que siempre, we're always seeing on the news, like, all the bad stuff.
Mhm.
We certainly see all that, but it's like good stuff that's coming out, that's happening. It's like a little blurb, and
that's it. And it disappears.
And it disappears, and it's not getting out there like it should. So yeah, thank you very much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a little nervous. I don't do this all the time, como dices, que it's like getting out there and in front of people, pero no, súper contenta de estar aquí también.
Awesome. Pues gracias. Y gracias por abrir tus puertas, porque aquí estamos en un local, tu local. Quiero que a little bit more at how this came to be. Because your name is Blanca, and this is Blanca's Cafe,
right?
So tell us a little bit about Blanca's Cafe, how it became, and then tell us about your story too.
Sí. Mira, yo crecí en el segundo barrio. I was brought up here in Second Ward. This is where we are now. It's known as the East End. That's what everybody calls it now. So it's Edo. Pero la gente de aquí, people from this neighborhood don't want to hear Edo.
Oh no.
It's Second Ward, Segundo Barrio, y sigue siendo, because it's a neighborhood that's multi-generational. A lot of the people have been here for generations, and just like our homes, that's how we live with our grandparents, with our aunts and uncles or cousins, or so the way that we came here, yo soy originalmente de Monterrey. I'm from Monterrey, and we first moved to Chicago. I was 5. And a couple of years in, my parents decided that that's not where we needed to be. And so we moved to Houston, and we moved here to this neighborhood. And across the street were my aunts and uncles and cousins. And so I was happy. We had immediate friends and cousins. And so this neighborhood has always stayed with me. Always, it was really fun for us because we would see each other every day. We go to school together. We go to church together. So it's a neighborhood that for me has, you know, a lot of sentimental value as well, even though we moved away at some point. But I always kind of kept track of, you know, what was going on over here. And at one, probably about over 15 years ago, I had an opportunity to buy some land here. This was before everything just started kind of taking off around here. CCC. So that's how the building came to be,
Yes.
and that's how the cafe also came to be. And so I wanted to have a place in the neighborhood that was for Latinos with our flavors, but a little bit more modern, you know, los cafés que nos encantan, el café de olla, I have abuelita latte. So it's like, tengo antojitos, just a little bit of light food. We don't have a full kitchen, pero tenemos, o sea, cosas que igual nos llama a nosotros, que nos gustan, the stuff that we love to eat and the flavors that we like. And so I wanted to bring, you know, keep that as part of the neighborhood. But I also wanted this to be a community gathering, a place where things happen, where people gather, where they learn, where they, you know, pick up on whatever might be happening in other things also still in the community. So
it serves as a place to nourish people, like their tummy,
right?
But also culturally.
I love
and
that.
And I love how you're still holding on to that piece, so needed, because you're right. It is more other cultures are moving in, and so it's almost like, hey, this is what's been here. Welcome to what's been here,
right?
You know, and so I love that idea of nourishing the tummies and the cultural piece. I like that.
Right.
I like that, and it's so needed, and that you had the ability to do that. So beautiful, because a lot of times, you know, and I'm an educator, you know, that's my lifelong, you know, mission, but I do this and I love this too. But one of the things I always tell students, and I also am a teacher trainer, and I also share with the teachers, let's not forget to impart in our students that when they are successful and they make it, to find a way to give back. Whether it's coming back directly or maybe time, maybe a talent, maybe a treasure, un dinerito, or investing somehow. And if maybe not in their own neighborhood, maybe they land in another city, pero buscar un local que necesita, like it needs their attention, their support.
Right.
So you came back. What was different? What did you do? What did you see? What did you feel like you needed to tackle first?
Bueno, pues ya había cambiado bastante, o sea, when we lived here, it was funny because after I started like building the building, and I brought my parents back, and they were like, "What are you doing over there?" And I was like, "No, you have to come and see." And they were like shocked because now the Esplanade on Navigation was there. Things were just very, very different from what, you know, they remember what used to happen. It was a dangerous neighborhood, you know, back in the 70s. This was so. I mean, I'm aging myself, but you
can't tell. You look amazing, girl. You look amazing.
So yeah, I mean, it's and like you said, it's about giving back and not. I mean, this neighborhood gave us a lot.
Yeah.
It's like back in the days, like the Fragas were here. There was there was the Ripley House, which is now Baker Ripley, and they had community programs that we certainly were a part of. It's like, I mean, I think we went to the rodeo for the first time because Ripley House had programs for kids in the community. It's like, otherwise I would have not gone, certainly not as a kid. Pero así muchas memorias that were like, you know, near and dear to us. But along with that, I mean, certainly, yes, there were things going on. You know, there were the stressors, the I guess word is poverty, for lack of a better word. But it's like, you know, there just wasn't a lot of resources available to, you know, not only my family, but, you know, a lot of the families in the neighborhood. So yeah, it was very important that, you know. But it was things like that, like those community programs, those outreach things that did help us.
Yeah,
you
that
know,
elevated you to then be able to do the things you did, because you went on college life. career,
Right.
you know, you got kids, tienes hijos, you know, you are a woman that is doing it all, has done it all, and now taking care, bringing your family, your parents. It's like when they took you, and now you're bringing them with you. I mean, it's such a circle of life, right? And we were just talking about earlier when I got here. I took a nap on your amazing couch. So if you're listening and watching, for those that are listening on RadioCrystalUSA.com, don't forget that the show repeats on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning and at 10 o'clock at night. All you need to do is just go to www.radiocrystalUSA.com. And if you're watching, you get a chance to see a little bit of where I'm at. And there's this amazing couch in the middle of this place, because you walk in and we're sitting in what I call la sala, the living room, la salita. We're like in la sala, and then I'm looking across, and there's an amazing couch that sits about maybe, I don't know, 8 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, 6 comfortably. Right. And I, you know, came from my day job with students, and I love this, but I needed to recharge, and I was going to recharge in my car. But what'd you say?
Right. No, I was like, no, aquí está, entra, come in. There's a sofa right here waiting for you. So,
and this is what Blanca's Cafe is about. I mean, it's here, it's comfortable. It's like you're in la sala. You got I even, when she was making the tea earlier, I heard the sounds, and I heard like, oh, that sounds like the coffee machine. I mean, I felt like I was literally at home.
Right.
And that's what Blanca's Cafe is about. And you know, when I first walked in here, right after the pandemic, kind of got a little bit better. Sí. You had un trio. Okay, ¿cómo se llamaba el grupo que estaba aquí? You might want to talk about them, because they were an amazing band that was playing.
Right. Trio Forte.
Andale.
And the real Trio Forte.
The real.
Right. The Trio Forte. Anyway, so it's a group of a trio. They play Latin jazz, and they're amazing. And yeah, we had an amazing turnout that day. I think everyone was, you know, kind of ready just to hear some music when we had outside. You know, we had some music, even though they were inside, but we kind of split it up, and we had a speaker outside, so anybody that was sitting outside could also hear it. And it was like a beautiful spring day. And we have since brought them back again right before school started, I think. So yes, I'm in touch with them. So I hope to bring them back again soon. But it's just, we do a special little brunch on that day, and we'll have like a brunch menu that we don't normally have, and listen to music for a few hours. And I think that first time everyone got up and started dancing
in the middle. Pusimos todo, like typical, you know, party in the house, right? You move the chairs to the side, you move the couch, you move the table, and we were just up and dancing.
Se prestó para eso. It was like, that's what, you know, people felt like doing, and that's what we did. And it was, you know, it was great. It was a really nice time. Nice to see some old friends, old faces back, and new ones, and it was just lovely. It was really, it was. So, you know, music and coffee on a Saturday morning.
It was amazing. It was beautiful and exquisite. And one of the things that I noted is just, whenever I go somewhere, I like to be in it because I'm an extrovert person, but then I like to kind of remove myself and just observe. I like to just sit and just watch. And it was really beautiful to see everyone just hugging each other and like high-fiving each other. It was, you know, and then we're all like asking each other, are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated?
Yeah, I mean, there was some social distancing. So people were wearing their masks.
Yes.
And
we felt comfortable.
We felt comfortable.
And let me ask you, especially for those listening that want to come, and also for those that are maybe at a point in their lives where they're like, what else do I want to do with my life? Is there a change in my career? Maybe I want to start a business. I had the honor of having you, or my students had the honor of having you be part of my Passion Project speaker series, where the students were listening to different business owners, leaders, writers, radio DJs, people from the comunidad that ran for office. One didn't win, but whatever. They came on to talk about their successes and also their challenges. And, you know, and I wanted you and every person that came on to focus some time on the challenges, because a lot of our students, they see us successful, but they don't know that there's a story behind the success. So what was it like when you heard that you opened up your amazing place. The pandemic was coming. What did you do? What did you in motion? How did you continue to keep going? And what were you ready for once we could run out the house?
See, I mean, it's been, I think, for us and for many people, for all of us, sort of like a roller coaster. It was, not knowing what to expect, when things were going to come back, certainly not expecting anything like this to happen. I mean, my son is 14. He's like, I've lived through, he counts the hurricanes and a pandemic and a freeze and a, historic freeze and all these things. And it's like, I mean, like, things are intense, and it's, pues, con a lot of gumption, a lot of resilience, con fe. I mean, it's just really pushing through and trying to see where the opportunities are, but also, a veces sí, o sea, piensas, o sea, this is God's work, because por verdad que si estuvimos cerrados, we were closed for almost 9 months. So it was a long time, and we had just opened, like, maybe 6 months before the pandemic. And so it did take its toll, and also being in the East End, in the Segundo Barrio, this neighborhood was hard hit. It was, sometimes like you would see people in other neighborhoods and you were like, what pandemic? Everybody was just out and about. But this neighborhood, for a lot of different reasons, the wealth gaps, the healthcare gaps, the so many things that go on in our neighborhood sometimes. It took a while. I mean, apenas now I'm starting to see where people are coming back, like the schools are coming back, the people are going back to work, and so you see like it's getting back to a sense of normalcy.
Normalcy, yes.
Sí, entonces, yeah, I mean, so that was certainly a challenge that was not expected, and it was sort of like, sometimes it was day by day, ¿cómo le vas a hacer? ¿Qué vas a hacer? And it was, also went beyond the coffee shop, because it was like the building was a passion project for me that I undertook, and it was, being I'm not a developer. I had never done that. So it was these big leaps of faith that I had to, and these big risks that I had to take. Pero, ¿sabes? O sea, así a veces digo, sí, o sea, Dios sabe por qué pasan las cosas. Like, sometimes it's like it happens, things happen for a reason, and you kind of work through it, and you certainly along the way learn a lot about yourself. So, eso siempre. O sea, would it have been, I guess it's not always seeing things like, oh, that something didn't work out and I'm a failure, but it's like, what did you learn in that process? Like, what did you get out of it? Like, it didn't work out exactly wanted it to, but it's like, what did come out of it?
I like that.
Right?
I like that. I'm going to pause right there, because this is super important. I just wrote down a number of words that I always talk about pearls of wisdom. So it's like words of wisdom, because you never know, but it's feeding me. So you're nourishing me as well as those that are listening. Right. You talked about roller coaster. Things are unexpected. You just, maybe you've been on the roller coaster a couple of times, but you're still going to feel that crazy feeling in your stomach when you drop, even though you've done it, right? Right. And you don't know the twists and turns. Right. It's at time when you get on it for the first time. You talked about and keep going. You talked about leaps of faith and risk, and I think this is so. These words, what you're saying, especially in our cultura, in our heritage. I think you and I touched a little bit about it earlier, that sometimes we are maybe guided to take a path that's very, like, what the outcome is going to be, versus a path that you don't know if you're going to get what you want, or it's going to go sideways, or maybe it's going to take a turn. I think it's super important to share that with the younger folks too, and for us that are looking for a change in career or whatever, that sometimes there is that leap of faith. There is that leap of faith, but it's like, where do you find your support too? Like, where's your parachute? Right. What's going to be your parachute? Yes, absolutely. I like that. And for me, part of that was my family. O sea, mis padres, when I was building this place, I moved back home.
I had my son who was in middle school at the time, and so mis papás, o sea, lindísimos, and it was again going back to part of what our culture is.
Yes.
Where we do have these multi-generational households. I mean, it's like I was moving back home because I needed that support, but also it's like what came out of that. It's like my parents got to see my son and me every day, and he also got to spend a lot of time with them. You know, where otherwise we're just so busy running around with all kinds of other things that maybe we wouldn't have seen them as much. So that was like these golden little nuggets that come out of all out of the process.
Yes. And we talked a little bit about that before we recorded that, us being with family, with different generations in the house, that's something that my mom would share stories about. Como ella cuando era niña, vivía la abuelita y que a veces un niño se quedaba sin papás y recogían ese niño también. They weren't formally adopted. They just got taken in.
Right.
And it was just a house full of people. And when my mom was telling me the story when my grandmother came to the States, that she fell into deep depression. And my grandmother literally passed away wishing and wanting to go back to Matehuala. But that was what she was not used to. She wasn't used to this nuclear family of a mom and dad and kids. She came from a family of las tías, las abuelitas. You had a baby, everybody showed up with food, took care of you, took care of the kid, and so yeah, it's like how do we continue to bring that to light? How to bring it back? Right. And you're doing that. You've done that.
And so that comes, from our culture. It's like although when we a lot of times when we arrive, we think like, oh, we have to do it the way the culture is here. So maybe we think, oh, we have to move out of our homes and we have to be independent and and yes, you should do. But there's also, our culture, which is being together and helping each other and supporting each other, and it doesn't just benefit. It's like not one-sided. It's like for the family, for the extended family.
Extended family, and that is and I saw a lot of that with some families, and even especially during the pandemic.
Right.
People had to come together.
Right.
I mean, it didn't matter what background, what language you spoke. A lot of people had to come together, pull their finances, what they could together. Maybe I had a lot of students that they ended up having to live with cousins, y que la abuelita, and because someone lost their job. Right. Someone lost their livelihood, and they had to do what needed to be done to continue. Right. And so it's almost like we went back to, coming to what my parents and my grandparents did. Right. Growing up.
Right. We had to seek that in our culture, like seek out a lot of times, how we're going to get through this in that way. So
pull together, extended family, and come together and make that part of what we are. Make it normal, I guess. Make it part of the fabric. That's okay, and that's who we are, and that's what we do. Right. It's familia. And then familia could be not even, sometimes la familia is like, pues es la tía, but she's not really your tía, es la amiga de tu mamá, and they grew up together.
That's right. Yeah. Right.
And you don't call her señorita, you have to call her la tía, because you just call her by their name, you don't do that. Or you call her madrina. You just come up with a title, because in our family, I remember even growing up, my mom would never let me call any of her friends, or even if they're not related, that we were not blood related, by their first name. It was always es tu tía, o es tu madrina, es la comadre, and it was always some kind of connection, no matter what.
Right. Y yo hago lo mismo. Like I just do it too. I know with my stuff. I'm like, and they're just like friends that I've had.
Yes, forever. And when my girls were old enough, they're like, Mom, when they finally realized the whole familial lineage, like, is she? That's not your sister. So this whole time you've been making me call her tia. I'm like, you just keep calling her tia, okay? Because you're not going to call her by her first name. And that's just it.
Right,
and that's what we do.
Y es lo lindo,
y es lo bonito de nuestra cultura is that's what we do. Exacto. Oh my gosh. You also said God's hands. You need to leave it in God's hands. Things happen, and things happen for a reason. We just don't know why or what. but in the end, it tends to work out.
Y a veces, o sea, a veces sí, you know, you find yourself in these places where you're like, sometimes you want, you know, you're like struggling to do something or to have something or to, you know, and then it falls apart and you don't know why. And then time passes and you're like, okay, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like, you know, coming to terms with that, coming to terms a little bit with that, like, you know, if I'm supposed to be here, then something's gonna work itself out, and so having that a little bit of faith in that, you know, in the universe, in, you know,
whatever you believe in, God, the universe,
whatever, right,
she, he, whoever you name it,
right.
You just said something else that I did not write. I'm gonna write, but you said even in the end, if it's, I think I may paraphrase it. Even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, that you later you realize, okay, now I understand why. That's something too that I adopted in my adult life.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that, okay, pues, como, what's that saying? Si Dios quiere, como Dios guía, you know, what the universe has for you. And I've had to learn to adopt that. Because in my growing up, it was either you're gonna do it and you better know how to do it. Don't do it if you don't know how. And so now it's like, as a mom, it's like, go for it. If you fall on your face, what can you do? Get back up.
Right.
And then you said, and what did you learn from it? Oh,
see. And that's what I think, you know, we are born, or I'm not going to say born, but, you know, taught a lot of times to, like you said, be in this perfectionist sort of mentality. Like, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it. But it's like, well, then, pues no voy a hacer nada. You know, I'm going to, because I don't know how to do anything perfectly. Exactly. But, you know, I don't know. Sometimes, you know, you of course, try to do your best. Of course, you know, try to have the resources that you need to do something. O sea, no lo vas a hacer nada más así. But, you know, if you are following a path, and it doesn't work out, it's like, you know, what did I learn from this? What did I get out of this? What was this for?
Yeah.
Y se me hace que, like, younger me would have not been there, would have been completely judging myself, completely, you know, saying, well, what did I do wrong? Or I'm a failure, or but yeah, time tends to, and experiences tend to give you those lessons, and sort of, you know, you have to also be like, okay, this was for something. Yeah. This fue por algo.
Por algo. And sometimes we won't know, and sometimes we will.
Right.
And you just got to go with the flow. I like that. I love that. So all of these are words of wisdom, or pearls of wisdom. And if you're just listening right now and tuning in, I am talking with Blanca Garza of Blanca's Cafe. She's been talking about where she's from, what she has done, what she has built here in El Segundo Barrio, which some people know as Edo. But we're going to continue calling it El Segundo Barrio because this is a place that is rich with history. Many families that immigrated, especially, you know, from like Mexico, Monterrey, Matehuala, San Luis Potosí, like my family, came to this part of town and began their families, began their establishing themselves here. And so what do you see? I see from the outside looking in, like I see you like a beacon of light. I see you as a place where students, families can come and nourish their souls and their cultural needs, as well as their bellies and their, you know. And then you're right across the street from a number of schools, a very important school. And you did mention earlier that you saw during the freeze, during the pandemic, you saw these gaps that we know the gaps are there, but these gaps really slapped you in the face in this neighborhood.
Right.
What did you see during the freeze and then the pandemic, and what do you think needs to happen and for this neighborhood to get where it needs to be so that people do not suffer like they did during those two events?
Yeah, mira, during the pandemic, it was interesting. I mean, you know, this neighborhood has always, I mean, I was even across the street, every once in a while, there was like a pantry, like a food pantry where families would come and pick up maybe a little bit of food or something. But nothing like what I witnessed during the pandemic, and even late into the pandemic when people were already getting vaccinated. It was really hard hit here. So Ripley House is a few blocks away from here. But and so they have food pantries, and the line of cars would go all the way from Ripley House, all the way up Navigation, turn on Milby, which is the street where we are, and just go on and on for blocks and blocks and blocks. And it was just stunning. It was stunning because it was like everything else that you saw on the news, nobody was showing that. And you would just see people out and about, going about their days
on other sides of town.
On other sides of town, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's it was shocking to witness that. And the same kind of happened during the freeze, where all the houses here are elevated, so many homes, their pipes were busted. They didn't have water for weeks, until they could get a plumber. Well, no one could get a plumber. No one could get any supplies even. So that lasted for a long time. And again, the food pantry, even water, people didn't have drinking water. So and no one was prepared. Like the preparation, like how do you prepare for that? You couldn't really, no one was prepared for what happened. For all the lights to go out, it was just stunning and shocking. And this neighborhood was very hard hit. And so you see these things that keep repeating themselves. And so what needs to happen? There certainly needs to be a lens put on, what's going on. But because then that will bring the resources that are needed. There certainly needs to be a lens on the education, which is, I love teachers, and I know they work so hard, but it's like, there's so many, the divide is just huge, of what a lot of times what kids in these neighborhoods,
what they have access to,
like internet. They don't have that. Like books on, already on the computer, they don't have that.
Or just technology, period.
Right. No technology. So I know that was a huge issue. I mean, one of the things that I remember I did, but it's like, how do you reach people? But we did have lights and internet. So I was like, you need to come by the cafe and log on and maybe fill out an application or try to do something, please do come by. But it's like, how do you reach those people to tell them that that's available?
Because they don't have the connect. They're not connected.
Right. They're not connected to begin with. Wow. So that is a huge, the technical divide is huge. So all of those things, those gaps need to be, we need to work towards that of just being narrowed.
All right.
And it's, even with the healthcare, it's like we see in our communities, people of color are just life expectancy is a lot less.
We have the most. When I was looking at the data for COVID and who affects COVID the most, I mean, number one, it's Latinos, the African American population, and then everybody else is on the lower end.
Right.
And it's because we have so many underlying conditions that we don't even know of, because again, wealth is health, health is wealth. Wealth comes along if you have the means to have a position, salary that offers insurance, then you're fine. You can be on the other side of town, going about your business, going get your latte wherever, because you have insurance. That means you're healthy. Right. You have a home. That means you have water running. You have electricity. You probably have a newer home where pipes are not exposed. So there's a lot of little things that we don't even sometimes think of.
Yeah.
Until something like this happens.
Right. And it's all connected, the more parks. There's an amazing organization called Barrio Dogs, and they help to get some of the stray, dogs homes. Yes. Some of them are just dropped off, especially during the pandemic, and they just, so it's like, you don't want to walk in the street because there's all these stray dogs, so you're not getting any exercise. So it's, all of it is connected. It's all connected. And so it's so important. I know. And so there are some programs coming in that are trying to focus a little bit on that. And so we always, at the coffee shop, I always try to post things. So follow us.
Yes. And let's do that right now because we're already close to the end.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So we're here at Blanca's Cafe now. Blanca, I want you to let everyone know how to find you, where to find online, how to find you physically so they can come over here and have a cafecito, do some homework, fill out a form if they need to. So share that right now with the listening audience and the watching audience.
Yes, so the website is blancascafe.com. The Instagram is at blancascafe241. And the Facebook is Blanca's Cafe. And we're located at 241 North Milby Street, 77003. And so we're here again. We have limited hours. We're not open at night because no se presta, la comunidad no se presta to be open like at night. But we do have evening events sometimes. Like we had the House on Mango Street event with the theater. So that was in the evening. So sometimes we do open for special things, but yeah, and like I said, I try to have music, un poquito de todo, to reach out to the community. I'd love this to be a family place where parents can come with their kids, or like you said, students can come and do a little studying. So, porque así somos, it's like we're family people. Sometimes it's with the grandparents and with the the children, and so I want it to be comfortable for everybody.
Nice.
Pero sí, aquí estamos, aquí los esperamos.
Y aquí estamos ahorita. And right now, if you're watching us on YouTube and on Facebook, we are now showing the Facebook page with all of the events, the information, where she's located. And yes, get on your phone right now. Start following Blanca's Cafe. Get connected. Get to know the location. Come on out whenever she has these events. And I was here for an event. It was going to be a week now. Tomorrow's going to be a week.
Right. It's going to be a week.
You and I are part of a board, an advisory board. And go ahead and talk a little bit about that. I'm super excited because it has to do with the book that I talked about earlier. So talk about the event that you hosted here.
Yes, La Casa en Mango Street. It's in English and in Spanish. Y todavía tenemos libros. We still have some books if you want to come by and pick up your free copy. So the reason there are free books is because the Alley Theater and the National Endowment for the Arts supported this project. And this is the 25th anniversary of this book, Sandra Cisneros. And it's a book that's so relevant still today. And so it was a great event. It was the kickoff of all of the programming. We also have these flyers here on hand, and so the Alley Theater has all of a lot of programming around the book. So they're going to have cuentos y charlas coming up. They had the kickoff where the free books are given away, and they have things going on with the Houston Public Library. So there's still a whole series of events for Hispanic Heritage Month. And
they're free.
And they're all free.
And
free for the community.
I already signed up for everything. I went on and I signed up for everything. And I got my tickets. And the one the closer, November the 8th. Talk about that and where.
November the 8th at the Alley Theater. Sandra Cisneros will be here in Houston. You can't miss it. And she'll be talking about this book. She also has a new book coming out. I mean, she's an amazing author, around for long. And, we'll be talking a lot about why this book is still relevant, why it's so important to us. Again, the Cuentos y Charlas with the Alley Theater, you can have a whole panel of experts and people in the community, leaders, who are going to talk about, why this is still
super relevant
to us. All of the topics. It's a book that was written from the perspective of a 12-year-old girl. So it's considered a young audience's book, but it's a super easy read in that sense. Although the themes in it are heavy,
they're intense.
And but that's why it's still such a great book.
Yes.
And so I hope people will tune in and take advantage of this opportunity because, you know, we're starting to get the organizations like the Alley Theater, who is like the biggest theater company in Houston, who has been around for 75 years. And they are starting to do programming around, you know, our culture, the Hispanic community. So it's great for us. And this is one of the things that we need that will help us close those gaps.
Yes.
To educate, to bring us together, to have, you know, be knowledgeable about, you know, even what was happening, because this was, I think it came out in 1984, and it's like these topics are so relevant, and why, and how can we change that, and how can we move forward, and that's what's so amazing. I mean,
it is.
So I'm very excited about it. I'm excited that you're here. You're also like, you know, doing a show on it. So así le vamos a hacer. Así vamos a avanzar, and hopefully we start everything in como que ya, ¿verdad?
Yes, we need to continue moving forward because it doesn't matter the setbacks. The setbacks, I mean, I don't know how many times my grandfather crossed that river and he kept coming back. And that's why I'm here. So thank you, Chris Piñon. He's actually my super compadre and my photographer. He's always doing all of my photography. He says, looking fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. And you too. You got this fantastic event coming up for Dia de los Muertos. Please make sure to talk about that on the comments so we can all follow you and go to your event. So follow Chris Piñon. He is a noir picture of the day, #. And he has an amazing Dia de los Muertos event coming up. So I'm excited. You know, I was here last week. I was passing out books, and there were so many people that came out. Elected officials, people in the comunidad, people coming by to pick up books. I had a teacher friend that from the KIPP schools who came by and picked up books for his students, and so he now works for YES. I now work for HISD. So it's just we're still continuing the love and the joy of reading, and also that there's a book that reflects who you are, your community, who you are. And I think that right there was the biggest pull for me. And so I'm excited. So are we having the after party here? Is that what I heard? In the evening? So, maybe. I'm just putting it out there. So stay tuned. Priscilla Rodriguez, hola, Picasso. I was there for an event last week too with Chang. Yes. Loved her cafe and her story. Thank you for the book and the hospitality. Yes. Thank you, Priscilla, for tuning in and
thank
connecting.
You for coming by, Priscilla. Yes.
And come back. So I'm super excited. We're now towards the end. We've already done like an hour. Or we're gonna go a little bit more. But I just wanted to close with a few words. A saying. One of my favorite quotes: "To whom much is given, much is expected." And much has been given to you, and you are not without being expected of you. You're giving so much. And I want to say thank you for being brave, for stepping out, for putting yourself out there, putting yourself in the arena, taking those risks, taking that leap of faith, getting on that roller coaster ride, and doing your passion, following your passion, because this is your passion, right? And we didn't even talk about your brother upstairs. And you have studios upstairs, a whole other show. So we're gonna have to come back for part 2 of what's upstairs above Blanca's Cafe. And then come on down and enjoy a cafecito. And I'm super excited to come back and do part 2. And maybe we can go upstairs and set up camp up there. But yeah, you have a fantastic menu. I think I tried about everything on it. That's why my pants don't fit, but oh well. But it's okay. I work out and I can unbutton my pants, and that's okay. So yeah, but I'm super excited, and I just want to close out with this. Make sure that you do what you love what you do. Make sure that you take care of yourself before you take care of others, because that's something that I have to practice. And also just want to close it out with a few happenings too. So La Super Comadre is going to be at Napoli's Wine and Cafe tomorrow off of Washington. And I'm going to be doing the NHPO, the National Hispanic Professional Organization Business Highlight. So I'll be highlighting another business and having some fun over there. So hey, if you want to join, you can come over there. And so I'll be there from 6:30 to about 10. Stop by. We're going to be recording the NHPO business highlights. And we're going to have some board members there. If you want to come by, just unwind with a glass of wine or tea or water or whatever you like to drink. And my highlight is going to be OJ Freddy. He is an amazing DJ who always makes sure that the party is going, that brings the best music, and is there to just make it a good time while you're just unwinding. It's midweek, and I love earlier when I was taking a nap and I woke up. I woke up and my hair was as big as I don't know what, and I calmed it down. I put a flower in it. But we talked about taking a nap, how that's part of like cultura, a culture that we don't do.
Absolutely.
We're here.
Sí. O sea, como que a lot of times we're expected to leave our culture at the border, you know, but that's not how it works. So lo tenemos.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, part of our culture is taking a nap. It's like, you know, you get that cat nap in the middle of the day para que le puedas seguir, you know, and that's how it is. It's like, you know, in a lot of countries, it's not just Mexico. It's like, you know, Italy, a lot of countries, it's like they shut it down in the middle of the day, eat, you know, get some rest, y luego le sigues. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nope. It's like, you know, but here it's sort of like, you know, no, you go to work, you know, go to bed early, go to whatever. Go, just work. And it's like, you know, así no, that's not what our culture is about. So it's like, you know, there's no guilt in taking.
No, and I took that nap and I woke up and I was ready to go. And thank you for bringing me into the couch because I was going to take a nap in my car.
I know what that's like. I've been there,
right?
No, siempre corriendo.
Yes. So take care of yourself because, you know, we have families. We have, you know, some of us have parents to also take care of as well, part of the family unit. So the number one person to take care of is yourself so that you can continue. And I know my parents are always not yelling at me, but getting after me. Ya dormiste, ya comiste. I'm like, yes, okay, I'm fine. But I have to really embrace that. And thank you for allowing me to sleep on your couch. And whenever you want to come over, people, there's a couch for you. So taking care of yourself. And what else that I wanted to share? We got the NHPO thing going.
Which I have been to one of your Wednesday events.
Yes,
and
you have.
Muy bien, la cosa, muy alegre. Everything, it's great. Like, you guys have like an amazing turnout. There's a lot of amazing people who come in from the community.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, so it's really nice even for networking or for just relaxing, kicking back or whatever. But it's, sí.
Live to work to live. That's what I want to share.
Right. Sí, me lo dijiste más temprano.
Live to work. Do we live to work or do we work to live?
Right.
I don't want to live just to work. Right. I want to live and then just happen to do work stuff that's joyful, but then take care of myself.
Sí. And we got to remind ourselves of that because that's kind of not how we've been.
I know.
Trained. Right.
It's like we have to like recalibrate.
I
saw your nose over there. Decolonize.
Right.
We have to decolonize.
Yeah. Because that is, it is not really the way our culture is, but it's like I said, you know, a lot of times lo dejas ahí en la frontera, or, you know, it's like, and you have to acculturate and that's not necessarily, you know, it doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. And so it's kind of taking back our customs. You know?
Yes, our tecitos, whatever las abuelitas would give us when we get sick. All of
las
that,
hierbitas y todo. And there's a video
that
you guys did that was so adorable. It was so cute.
So right now, for the listening audience, we did a TikTok here at Blanca's Cafe promoting the Alley Theaters, Zócalo, NEA, bringing of the house on Mango Street to Houston into the hands of la comunidad. Free books for all was had. We had Maria Lira, who is the wife of Dr. Sergio Lira, who's still on the board, and she's an amazing activist and community leader. Her daughter. We have Estela Munguia, an artist, and a woman of the community who's always out there supporting, you know, vendors and, you know, that do beautiful flowers, like the flowers that are hanging behind me. I don't know if you can see them. There's some flowers out behind me that are, it's actually a headpiece made, designed by Marilena Cortez. So there's just so many women.
Follow us because she might be having an event here coming up. So we've just been talking about planning something. So
yes, and there's your flowers right there.
Amazing.
Right here. So check on her page, connect, get involved, come out, have some fun, make some beautiful hair pieces while you're enjoying your cafecito. And here's just a few pictures at the end. We have Valdemar Rodriguez, who is El Zócalo with El Zócalo, Dr. Sergio Lira, former board member of HISD School Board. We have Eva Loredo, who's an HCC trustee, who's running again for her puesto, and Maria Lira, who is a wife, an amazing woman activist, and then myself. And just here in the middle of your sala. I want to call it the salita. I love it. And then outdoors, we all gathered together. We had everyone from Blanca Beltran, former Channel 13 correspondent, now with HTV. Ramiro Fonseca, who's now working with Carla Cisneros' office, and his husband. We have other board members from El Zócalo just there pictured. We also have Councilmember Gallegos, yes, and Assistant Chief Patty Cantu, who's been an amazing community leader, now stepping up to that role. And then we have Diana Davila Jr., call her Diana Davila Jr. She's the daughter of Diana Davila, who is a former school board member, again, community leader. And just they're gathered just to support, books in kids' hands, books in the community, and then free books at that.
See. I mean, it's such an amazing event, and everybody needs to know about it, and everybody needs a copy of the book.
Yes,
because and following along with just all of the programming that's happening. Some of it is going to be in person, and some of it will be online. And so yes, just try to click in to see what's happening.
All right. So you heard it here from Blanca's Cafe and from Blanca herself. What final words would you like to share to the audience as we close now?
Pues muchísimas gracias. I mean, I think the work you're doing is just amazing. I think this is how people find out about what's happening, what's going on. Porque como te digo, a lot of the stuff that happens sometimes in the community is like a little blurb on the news. Nobody even knows that, what's going on. And it is, bringing focus and bringing light to the good things and just a little bit of everything. Como, hablamos casi siempre on the news. It's like just bad stuff that goes on and not really the good stuff.
So here we are, La Super Comadre with my new Super Comadre, Blanca. And also, where is my Super Comadre Liliana? Because I'm surprised she hasn't come on to tell me, párale. There she is.
Está muy buena la plática, comadre.
I know. Super Comadre. So thank you so much. You have been at this, and the creator and the maker and the inventor and the mover and the shaker of RadioCrystalUSD.com. And I'm honored to be on the planet at this moment with you and with Blanca, doing the work that we do, carrying our missions out to its fullest extent. And even when we stumble and fall, that we're there to, to be a shoulder to lean on. Thank you so much for always being there, professionally and as a friend, comadre. And thank you so much for everything that you do and for being there for me as well. So, gracias a ti.
Échale ganas y felicidades a tu nueva comadre. Ahora sí.
Y felicidades a ustedes que tienen ya 5 años en eso, 5 años y medio, ¿no?
Gracias.
En abril cumplimos 6.
Sí, ándale. Yes, we do. Ya vamos a primer grado. March, that's right.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Fabulous. Felicidades.
Bueno.
La verdad.
Final words from you, Super Comadre.
Well, thank you for listening. And remember, we are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and also, let me see, we are live every, you know what, Comadre? Starting today, your show repeats every day.
Oh, really?
10 p.m. starting today.
No. Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow. All right. So in case you didn't hear me today, you'll hear me again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Don't miss it. Because I'll
So
come
this
looking for
show
you.
will repeat at 10 p.m. today and then 10 a.m. tomorrow. And so there's no way they can miss your show.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Okay.
Great
So if you
news.
didn't listen to it today, that you'll listen tomorrow or the
Right.
day after, or you have 7 days to listen to it.
Muy bien.
Yeah, 7
Muy
days to
bien.
listen
There
to
you
you
go. There you
too.
go.
Oh my God, that's really good news.
That's good news to me too, because I was
Yes.
Yeah. Muy bien. Muy bien.
well, comadre, thank you. And thank you for your guest. And thank you to all our sponsors. And remember, if you would like to be part of our sponsors, if you want to sponsor Radio Crystal USA or La Super Comadre Claudia Show, call her directly or just call 281-258-1427 for more information about our packages. We have monthly and also we have annual packages. So call us directly and ask about them.
All right.
Listo,
Because you
comadre.
heard it. Mwah.
Nos vemos.
Adiós.
Adiós.
Cuídense, ámense y nos vemos a la próxima.
Bye bye.
Bye.
10, 9, 8, 7,